intellectuals.
Live on YouTube and Twitch.
Exposing the predator class. With Brock and Agent X. Streaming live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Brock and Agent X. Prepare to get lit.
Hey, welcome to Command HQ. It's Wednesday, October 26th, 2022. I'm here with Agent X.
Almost
Agent
Halloween.
X, what's up? Almost Halloween.
Nah, man, almost Halloween. We got the ghosts and the ghouls and the goblins out. We've got anarchy in the air. We've got the weirdos on patrol. We've got all sorts of shenanigans going on. But, man, it's good to be back. Good to be back. Can't wait to get into some topics tonight. But, yeah, man, it's good to see you.
I'm really excited about streaming tonight. So it takes a little bit of effort to get back into the swing of things and practice all the streaming stuff. But there's so much going on right now with the Darrell Brooks situation in Waukesha, and then Biden with the migrants, and of course the economy and all these mortgage rates are really ruinous for the economy. And we got new followers. Thank you so much. So yeah, Agent X, what have you been up to? What's going on?
Dude, busy. A lot of work to do. I can say that more so than ever, the reality of widespread uses, the widespread use of quantum computers and quantum technology is closer than ever, and people should really be scared of that. It's not good. It's exactly what the predator class wants. And then, we have these technological leaps, which these elites have to make viable in order to basically facilitate their plan of putting us in cubes, feeding us crickets, which they call proteins. And at the same time, you're seeing people drop dead left and right. People are dropping dead, heart failure, heart mysterious, suddenly died. We are in the midst of a shit show, a controlled collapse of the economy, a depopulation effort, and an effort to put forward a lot of these new advanced technologies so they can put us in our pods.
Okay, so you mentioned this sudden adult death syndrome, and we've had a number of instances recently where we've had major figures, public officials, die of heart attacks. So I pulled up Ashton Carter, former defense secretary. His official full name is Ashton B. Carter. He's generally referred to as Ash Carter, yes. But he was the defense secretary under Obama. Died at 68. Now 68 is, somewhat elderly. I think 65 officially would be the age that you can start collecting Social Security, but 68 is pretty young to die.
Well, I don't
suddenly
think he
of a
had
heart
any
attack.
health issues. Yeah, I don't think.
And he looked pretty fit. If you look at him, he's not, overweight by any measurable standard. So, and then you have a bunch of others. I mean, we had Megyn Kelly's sister, who, by their own admission, wasn't in the best of health, but she suddenly died again of a heart attack. And then we have just all kinds of...
Just do a search for suddenly died on Google, man. It's terrifying. Just do a search and see what comes up in the news. Just suddenly died.
Student.
It's terrible.
Yeah, all these, athletes, high school, amateur college sports, actresses, and then again, as everybody knows, they're trying to deflect blame for all of this.
Right.
Now you
And,
see,
well, one of the things they're doing is they're trying to pass it off as mental health issues and suicide issues. But that's another thing. There's a legitimate issue of suicides out there, particularly amongst young people, because there's a feeling of hopelessness. Um, there's a feeling of, like we got screwed. Our generation, the millennials, we got screwed because the baby boomers didn't leave for us what was left for them, right? They didn't leave their children in a better spot than what they had, which is what the greatest generation left for them, the World War II vets. But for the younger people, there's a real sense of anxiety out there about finding jobs, supporting yourself, this rising inflation. People can't afford stuff. I was talking to a girl today. She just graduated from college. $1,400 a month for a crappy studio apartment, not in a big city, in a smaller city, and she's just struggling to make ends meet. We really have a problem with young people, and it's part of the depopulation effort. It's vaccines. It's this depressive culture. That the economy shit, we're going to be in World War III, you're going to get drafted, prepare for the worst, get in your bunker, and people are getting depressed, and they're unfortunately committing suicide. It's part of the plan.
I think one of the most depressing things here is the fact that we have this level of investment, and of course we have that parallel propaganda where the deep state is pushing this war on Americans between Ukraine and Russia. And obviously this is a proxy war between the US and Russia. But what Russia is doing is pulling back, but at the same time they're waiting for winter to come, and they have taken out Ukraine's energy grid in part because they have basically a complete blueprint of the entire system, because they built it in the Soviet Union.
Right, they're already doing attacks on the power grid, but you're right, they're waiting till winter, and there's a couple scary things that have come out in the past week. It's the fact that Sergei Shogov contacted 5 major countries, I think 2 in NATO, or 2 European countries, within that 5, saying that Ukraine had a dirty bomb and intended to set it off, I believe at the dam, and make it look like Russia did it. That's scary. That means that there's intelligence out there that they do have it, that it may be disinformation, right? But something's brewing. You had the admission that the United States has, 2,400 troops on the border of Ukraine and Poland, doing exercises, getting ready to go in. But, I think the thing that's kind of lost, right, is the fact that Ukraine is pretty much a ghost country now. I mean, they're saying that these estimates of casualties are way off, that they're much higher. But even say that the war ended tomorrow and Russia backed out and withdrew, I mean, there would be no Ukrainian country. There's no women. They all left. They're not coming back. And it's this pushing of this Ukrainian war is a harbinger of something bigger.
Keeps on getting more intense, while at the same time you see that the public is pulling back. And if you look at any official polling of American support of a Ukrainian conflict, it's very, very light. And you would think that that is sort of the recipe for the deep state, or the predator class in charge of our institutions in this country, to create a false flag, right? Because they want to solidify their base of support in continuing to produce this war. And if you really think about the amount of money that the U.S. has now placed in the war chest of Ukraine to fight the Russian conflict, probably over $100 billion. How much money would it cost to feed the entire world, or at least the third world? Much less than $100 billion probably year over year. So why are we spending this money in order to pave the way for corporations and elites to profit, or alternatively to sort of gain power out of this conflict? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Right, so it's a power grab. So China wants to go to war. They want to take Taiwan. It's, kind of a heritage thing, but it's also a power play. Russia wants to gain its status back as a, world power. It wants to reunite a lot of the Soviet states. And here we are. We're just floundering. We have a guy who walks around and says his butt's been wiped, and Joe Biden to reporters, and this country's rudderless, and these politicians have put us in the worst possible position we could ever be in, with the dollar as the world reserve currency. I mean, it is bad. You have people like the uneducated economists saying that there's going to be a corporate debt crisis because of the dollar milkshake and the lack of dollars and the value of the dollar going up. But, these countries can just say, "Oh, we're going to war. Fuck it. We're not paying these debts back. We'll pay you we're at war with the United States. We'll pay you in Chinese yuan or whatever. We'll pay you in rubles." And I mean, really, what can anybody do about it? And then at that point, we've lost our position as the world reserve currency. I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia, as bad as they spit in the face of Joe Biden last week by basically coming out and saying that Joe Biden threatened them, if they didn't increase oil supply or oil production. I wouldn't be surprised if Saudi Arabia says, "Oh, we were going to start accepting rubles. We're not going to accept dollars anymore." Can you imagine if something happened and Saudi Arabia sided with the Russia-China faction? I mean, just think about this. Europe is fairly weak. Think about if we had to fight a war, and I think this is what the strategy is making us fight a war on multiple fronts, in China, in Russia, or the Ukraine, and then probably in one of the South American countries. So, I mean, I think that's the intent, is to divide and conquer the United States, and spread our military as thin as possible. You're seeing the prelude to it, right? The preparation for it.
Yeah, and you saw that Biden and the Export Control Office has now put large tariffs, or at least eliminated the possibility of exporting certain chips to China. And you've seen a number of these chip companies lay off complete American workforces over in China. Specialized technical labor going in there to help out in their production facilities, completely laid off. And so, I think that is kind of one of the prerequisites for starting a conflict, whether it's economic or actual warfare.
So let me tell you this, and I didn't tell you this off stream, but I meant to. So, and you tell me what you think of this, because I have an opinion about it. So, as you know, I am involved with an academic program, and many of the students in the academic program come from overseas, right? Mostly China and India, but mostly China. Well, the trend now in these graduate programs is that Chinese students are declining their offers of admission, and this is just a fairly recent phenomenon. They're declining their offers of admission to go to graduate programs in the United States, and their reasoning is, a lot of them will say, we talked to our families and we don't think it's a good time to go to the United States. We decided there are better opportunities in China, and they're going to work for Chinese companies, or they're going to Chinese graduate programs. So, and this is widespread in academia right now, is that these Chinese students are backing out of in really large numbers, backing out of graduate programs. I even think some are dropping out. So what does that tell you?
Well, it means that because a lot of these student visas, the J visas, I believe, that are given to Chinese academics who come here and get postdoc and other fellowships to work at universities, they are essentially orchestrated by the CCP. And so China is funding and causing or making it, making sure that these individuals can work in these institutions.
Well, no. So this is what I think is happening, because this is just now happened. You got to remember, we're right now dead smack in admissions season, particularly for graduate programs. I think what is happening is that it's that these graduate students are being told, hey, the United States is no longer our ally, it's our enemy. And, whether it be 6 months, a year, 2 years, you don't want to be in the United States when shit goes down. And I think that these students and their families are being told that.
Have you seen Christopher Wray's indictment of these the Huawei? I always forget how to pronounce that. Huawei. There you go. So there's been some sort of misdirected indictments and investigations of some of the Chinese obstruction into a lot of this stuff. So this is all, like you said, Agent X, like the predecessor or the prerequisite to some of these conflicts that probably will happen now, right?
Yep. You got a chat. You got a comment in the chat. They want to know who is this guy. It's the precursor to war, and you're starting to see little things drop here and there, right? You saw, was it 2 weeks ago, where the United States spent money on anti-radiation drugs that only had a shelf life of 18 months, and they spent millions and millions of dollars on it. So you see something like that, and then you start to hear, these Chinese graduate students are declining offers of admissions to very prestigious universities. What does that tell you? Hey, they don't want to be caught over here when shit goes down. So you're seeing Russia and the United States, or not Russia, not the United States, Russia and China really angling and preparing for war and when they strike.
Well, I think China's kind of being restrained here because they're trying to learn about the Ukrainian conflict and what Russia has done in error there, because I think that they probably thought that Russia was going to come in and literally take over Ukraine, and that's really not happening.
I think that they're more interested in what we're doing, right? Like if they invade Taiwan,
Very true.
they're seeing our response in Ukraine, and they're watching it very closely to get sort of a feeling of what we would do in Taiwan. I think Taiwan's a totally different situation. I mean, probably the best thing you can do right now is go out and stock up on Baofeng radios, those ham radios, and computers, because I think here in the next 6 months, it's going to be very difficult to get chips.
That's true. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, please do subscribe and like this particular stream. We love having you here.
We love you guys. We love you guys. We love you guys. We hate Nick Rekieta. We think he's a big poser and a tool, and he's never practiced law. And Darrell Brooks has won as many cases as Nick Rekieta. So fuck Nick Rekieta.
Yeah, let's talk about Darrell Brooks and let's talk about Nicholas Rekieta.
Well, let's preface this by saying, while Russia is conscripting its citizens, while it's in the middle of a war, while it's preparing to go to war with us, while China is preparing to go to war with us and telling its young people, hey, don't go to the United States. Hey, they're building up their military. They're starting to train. They're starting to position their assets. We're fed Darrell Brooks, and Darrell Brooks is a highlight. It is a showcase of everything wrong with America today. It is a travesty. That not to minimize or to in any way have any sympathy for Darrell Brooks, in the sense of what he did was horrendous. It still hasn't been explained why he did it, but what he did was so reckless, so awful, that yes, he has to spend the rest of his life in jail. There is no question about it. But the way the system treated him is so shocking, and the fact that no one has stepped up and called it out. No one has called it out.
Shocking.
Is astonishing.
Okay, so the judge handling this case allowed Darrell Brooks to represent himself, and fundamentally, Darrell Brooks was incapable of representing himself because of an undisclosed mental illness.
Well, you can see it. Well, hey, hold on. So he has a high school GED, right? And there was some question about whether he had one or not. He's clearly has a personality disorder. They said in court he has an undisclosed mental illness and a personality disorder. He has no knowledge of the law, nothing, particularly in a fucking murder trial for 76 counts. And they let this guy who is undereducated, mentally ill, personality defects, personality disorders, go up and try to defend his life without any tools, without any skills, with nothing. This is astonishing that something like this would happen in this country.
Yeah, I want to say fundamentally again, absolutely no compassion for Darrell Brooks and what he did. The evil acts that he admitted to in court are unequivocally wrong. Unequivocally wrong.
Credit to him that he didn't contest the facts and he accepted responsibility in that way. I know that Rekieta was like giving him shit about it, making fun of him, but he didn't. And I think, he made some good arguments as to why, they were overcharging him, and, basically he's like, they're trying to paint me as this aggressor, madman who just rammed a parade. But if I was really that person and trying to intentionally mow people down, why would I be honking my horn and waving and telling people to get out of the way and swerving? I mean, it's a good argument, but he did do it. But Rekieta, to laugh at that and make fun of this guy. I mean, this guy was literally, he wasn't put behind the 8-ball. He was put behind about 10 8-balls. This man I think it's a due process violation to let somebody like this represent himself and not have at least an attorney there. I know they were standby counsel, but not have an attorney there to tell him, hey, shut the fuck up. Hey, you want to do this. You want to do that.
Okay, so Judge Darrow, I think is her name, completely failed in allowing Darrell Brooks to represent himself. We got a comment here.
Yeah. We watched the entire trial.
We watched the entire trial. What are you talking about? I live in Wisconsin. I saw the whole thing. I mean, I've been to Waukesha many times. In fact, I've driven that route because it's in the main street like many times. I know exactly where this happened.
The only thing that was without evidence was the fucking trial. The prosecution really didn't put on much evidence. There was no,
well, here's the strange thing. We were both talking about this. Did you see an actual witness testify? I mean, usually in trials like this, you'd have a roster of witnesses testifying, victims that were hit or saw Darrell Brooks's SUV sort of, run that parade route. And then you have the weird situation where no one followed Darrell Brooks after he mowed through that parade. You would think if there's hundreds, thousands of people in this parade, you would have good Samaritans, middle-aged men in their cars tracing him as he continued to flee the situation. That never occurred.
Well,
or maybe it did, but we didn't find out.
I think this is, I don't think there's any defense to what he did, right? I don't think it's been explained well why he did it, but the fact that they allowed.
Dude, did you see Gavin's comment here? Gavin McAnus.
Yeah,
he said, "Bro, y'all dumb as fuck." Let me tell you something, Gavin. You have no experience.
Anybody who says, bro, y'all are dumb as fuck, it sounds like Darrell Brooks, man.
Exactly.
It's probably Darrell Brooks' his brother, right?
Cousin,
there.
Right.
Yeah, his cousin. But no, he, they never, my point is that they never should have let him represent himself. The judge goaded him several times. Victims to the stand for Brooks Herbers. You have to prove your case, though. You have to prove your case, and part of putting on a case is calling witnesses. You can limit the scope of your examination, and that judge, your direct examination, to prevent him from going all over the map on cross, and the judge would have done that. Yes, we know he's guilty. We
already said that.
We're not contesting that. What we are saying is that the American justice system was on display, and it shows you how unfair it is and how rigged it. Yeah, this man was guilty. He should go to jail for the rest of his life.
He was mentally ill.
Several times over.
He was mentally ill.
To let this man go on a live stream that the prosecution said was going out all over the world, and represent himself with the apparent mental illness he had, is not a good look for our system of justice. We should be more compassionate to people.
As evil as his actions were, and as horrible of a person he is for doing that, you almost do feel compassion for someone similarly situated in Darrell Brooks's shoes, where he's being basically pile driven by every single person in this case. You have the media drilling him, you have the prosecution drilling him, you have the judge drilling him. He has no resources, he has no idea what he's doing. And then he's put in this awful situation to defend himself, which of course he's never going to be able to do. Even, if you had Alan Dershowitz in there, he wouldn't even be able to get Darrell Brooks off. However, he should have raised an insanity defense.
No, not the insanity. So, Krundar, they said in court that he was diagnosed with a mental illness and a personality disclosure, but they didn't disclose what it was. So here's the problem, right? Is, you know, he doesn't have the skills, the knowledge, the intellectual capacity. He doesn't even have a high school education. They fucking made it up. The judge admitted she was fudging that he had a GED. You had a judge who was trying, who had the appearance of coming off as very polite and even-handed to him, but in reality, what she was doing was she was goading him to run his mouth so she could put him in the other courtroom, particularly when it was time for him to testify. She did not want him to testify. She came out there with her prepared statements to address his antics, and they didn't want him to testify and say that throttle stuck. They were terrified of that, even though it was a slam dunk case. But they mistreated him. But then the prosecution, see if you can find that prosecution video where the whole fucking prosecutor's office came out. I mean, it's like, this is like Brock and I winning a game of, or winning a 12-round boxing match with somebody with Down syndrome. I mean, it's like
Multiple women accused.
to come out and spike the football over beating a guy who had no legal experience, who was clearly mentally ill. I thought it was very classless.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think that this would be like, playing a game of chess with someone who is, mentally disabled. And so here we have the press conference where the DA's office is basically mocking Darrell Brooks, and
the fact that they had a press conference is not the issue. The fact that they brought the entire office out and be like, "Oh yeah, we dunked on Darrell Brooks." You beat a guy with a fucking mental illness and a personality disorder who had no knowledge of the law, barely a high school education, and was woefully underprepared and malprepared to defend himself in a life in prison case.
Yeah, and you really saw it here, and you saw a number of other strange features, as we mentioned before. Like, we don't even know why Darrell Brooks did this, first of all, so we have no motive. And then,
well, let's not defend. I mean, I'm disappointed in this country that we don't even have the appearance of fairness anymore. The man should have had counsel.
He should have been forced to have counsel, and basically revoked. He forfeited every single right that he possibly could have here from a due process perspective, like testifying.
But it was through, he forfeited those rights through the judge goading him and constantly engaging with him. I mean, she could have just shut her mouth. But, yeah, I mean, she could have said, "Hey, I don't think you're competent to make this decision to represent yourself. I'm going to, order that you have to have counsel." She could have done that. That's well within the law. And instead, she decided she was going to put on a circus and really make sure to stomp on him. I mean, it's
pathetic.
It's concerning because this is what has been happening in just normal cases, with less on the line. These judges steamrolling and manufacturing decisions and putting people in bad positions, where they're really not able to defend themselves for the past 10 years. And here you see it on display. But hey, we're getting educated, or we're getting preconditioned that this is permissible now for judges to act like this and for court cases to go like this. And that's why they did it, and they live streamed it, and they did it with the most heinous, reprehensible person you can find, because they want to normalize some of these really unfair bullying decisions in these courtrooms now.
Yeah, and in response to some of the allegations you've raised against Nicholas Rekieta, Now, he's been streaming on Rumble lately, and I hate even to give him, a promo in terms of like saying that he's on Rumble. However, I think watching just a little bit of his live stream of the Darrell Brooks verdict and how they were celebrating the failures of the justice system in Wisconsin.
Well, for Nick Rekieta to sit up there and profit off of poor Darrell Brooks and making fun of him and not being, a fair person who's going to point out, yeah, he's getting railroaded. But, we got to remember, Nick Rekieta graduated from the worst law school in the country. He's never had a paying job from a law firm. He has never really practiced law. He's never won a case, whether it be criminal, whether it be civil, whether it be small claims. Nick Rekieta is a tier 1 grifter. And for him to sit there and make fun of I have, he picked on Darrell Brooks and he made a lot of money, but the fact that this guy is not disciplined when he's reading the N-word in his chats, when he's got copyright cucks on the screen with jizz dripping down it on the logo, where he's got intoxication and something on his logo, lawyer and intoxication or something on his logo, and the last thing the bar wants any lawyer to do is to glorify alcoholism. That's a big no-no. And the fact that this guy is even credible as a legal commentator by anybody, but the fact that he still has a law license after he's pulled all this stuff is ridiculous.
Let me ask this question. So why does Nicholas Rekieta have so much time to stream in the middle of the day?
Because he doesn't have any cases. He used to have an office in a strip mall, and now he has no clients. So he sits on his ass and he live streams and he says, he's even said, I don't have any experience as a litigator. So all I'm doing is observing.
And
hold on, Krundar, all you got to do is go to the Wisconsin docket and do the attorney search, and you can see what cases he's been involved in.
Well, I think he's licensed in Minnesota, but I don't know if he's licensed in Wisconsin. But he's okay. So he advertises his law office in Wilmer, Minnesota, which is like a backwater area. It's way up in north central Minnesota. Nothing important is there. He has no cases of public relevance whatsoever. He sits on YouTube. He sits on Rumble all day. Obviously, he's a loser with no clients. If he was an active lawyer in trial, he would not be able to stream during the middle of the day. I mean, how much trial experience does Nicholas Rekieta actually have? And yet he's commenting on all these cases. You know what? I have more trial experience than Nicholas Rekieta. I can tell you that.
You have far more.
Yeah,
You've won
I
more
can tell you that right
too.
now.
You've won more cases too.
The system is completely rigged. However, as an attorney with a law license, you should have, a fairly reputable win-loss history.
No. You should actually practice law and not sit on your ass and live stream and claim to be a lawyer.
Well, yeah, and then picking out all these little disparate issues in all these cases and then not tying them back to his own experience. Because he has no experience. It's
not that, man. It's that he's a bigot and a racist, saying the N-word on his channel. And the people who go on his channel, I don't think they particularly like him, and they look down on him because he went to the worst law school in the United States. Literally,
third-tier toilet.
He literally went to the worst law school in the United States.
William Mitchell, Hamlin Mitchell, as it's called now. They had to merge the other failed law school in that area.
Well, the worst law school in the United States, and he sits on his.
Anybody can get into that law school.
Dude, My dog applied and got in. He just had to have $250,000.
So this is a meme, I believe, that Nicholas Rekieta showed on his live stream today. And it says, I don't care, didn't ask, plus you're black. Now, if that's not racist, I don't know what is. Because
super racist.
Nicholas Rekieta, and again, these backwater communities in Minnesota are known for being some of the most racist areas in the entire country. And as you saw with George Floyd in Minneapolis, with the diverse community in Minneapolis, sort of in conflict, in cultural conflict with more of the German, Polish, and mostly Scandinavian communities in Minnesota, it's very, very racist because there's not much diversity in those areas. And so Nicholas Rekieta is a product of that kind of, backwater thinking. And so he's presenting these kinds of racist dog whistles and memes on his live stream. And yet now he has not been disciplined, sanctioned, publicly reprimanded by the bar.
You gotta show the whole image. They can't see it all.
Let me minimize. There we go. And this isn't the first time, by the way, that Nicholas Rekieta has done this. I mean, this is a repeated, routine thing that he does constantly on his stream. And it goes to show you the lengths in which the bar in Minnesota and Susan Humiston, who runs the Office of Lawyers' Professional Responsibility, will go to protect and insulate, racist lawyers like Nicholas Rekieta.
Yep, it's true.
Okay, so Nicholas Rekieta is from Louisiana. Okay, so he lives in Wilmer. it doesn't really make a difference.
Oh man, Nick Rekieta is fuck, man. I don't give two shits about him, and he's a dumb motherfucker. So let's talk about somebody else.
Do you want to talk about this weird migrant situation where we have these ghost caravans?
I was out on a mission last night and encountered one of these ghost caravans.
Okay, so you told me a little bit about it. I saw some images, and we kind of had some kind of, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe like speculative analysis on what we saw. But I don't know if you want to describe that or if you feel comfortable doing it, Agent X, but it would be interesting.
Hold on. You want me to send? You have the pictures, right?
I do. I would have to switch over.
I don't know if we want to show them because they got.
Yeah, that's true. They are pretty gruesome.
I was traveling yesterday on a top secret mission, and ran into an accident, and it appeared to be a migrant caravan driving right through the middle of the United States. It's bad, and it was going southbound. Let's just say that. So it was going towards Florida. Unfortunately, there was an accident on the busiest interstate in America, and the police have just totally whitewashed it. They have not reported anything in the news, even though it shut the interstate down for over 6 hours. And yeah, it's some scary stuff. It was very, very scary.
MK Ultra?
Dude, I don't know if it was MK Ultra. It definitely wasn't MK Ultra, but it looked like a group of migrants were stashed in the back of a semi truck, and the driver of the semi truck fell asleep and crashed, jumped the guardrail, and I had just happened to be traveling, and there were a number of dead migrant workers laying on the interstate. What appeared to be, they appeared to be migrant workers, but there was several dead bodies laying on the interstate. from the crash because they flew out of the back of the semi truck. It looked like, and the news hasn't reported it. The police are apparently being very coy about it.
Hey, let me just address this recent comment by Gavin McAnus. Fuck off.
Dude, Gavin McAnus must be Nick Rekieta's balding wife. Dude, remember, dude, that was the funniest thing. I sent you that picture, and I was like, dude, do I have a better hairline than Rekieta's wife?
Oh, right. Yeah, it's a receding hairline. No, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but yeah, so we have this migrant ghost caravan traveling from apparently the north, bringing these migrants down into the mid-Atlantic region, probably down to Florida, right?
Florida, yeah. I mean, what I'm guessing is that where Abbott and what's his face in Florida are picking migrants up and dropping them off in D.C. and Connecticut and New York. I think that one of these Democratic governors probably stuck a bunch of them back into a semi truck, and the semi truck jumped the curb.
So they had a coyote driving it. You know, the Democrats can get away with this shit too, but if it was a Republican doing this, game over. They'd be probably indicted federally on migrant trafficking charges or something, right?
Dude, yeah, no. Yeah, hey, Fernando. Yeah, I heard that too, that Joe Biden's going to pardon Darrell Brooks.
Well, I mean, it's a state trial, so Joe Biden can't pardon.
He's going to get confused that they think Darrell
He might
Brooks
think
is
he could.
George Floyd.
He might, yeah. Yeah, I mean, speaking of pardons, I think George Floyd was turned down for a pardon in Texas posthumously for, I think, like a 1998 or 2000 something conviction in Houston.
Have you seen the Candace Owen?
Oh, yeah. I guess she was considering suing George Floyd's family.
Yeah, she probably will now that they sued Kanye.
Really
But
interesting stuff going on here.
Yeah. But yeah, she came out with a little documentary. I haven't watched it. I do want to watch it.
Okay, so I didn't hear what Candace Owen said or what anyone else said about Candace Owens. I'm a little familiar with what I think Kanye West said about George Floyd. So he was referencing the coroner's report where it said that George Floyd from Hennepin County had like a toxicity level of fentanyl and I think methamphetamine or something in his system when he died. And remember, the initial coroner's report from Hennepin County said that George Floyd died of a drug overdose, right? And then they amended it and said that there was force applied and then it was potentially, manslaughter, whatever they said, right?
Yeah, he issued that preliminary autopsy. Said he thought it was fentanyl.
So I think what a judge here would say with Kanye West claiming that George Floyd died of a drug overdose would be that, okay, well, Kanye West has a right to say that because the preliminary report came out. So ultimately in this defamation suit, again, it's weird because I think Kanye West gave something like $3 million or something to the George Floyd family so that George Floyd's daughter could attend college when she reached 18. And now you have George Floyd's like ex-girlfriend or something, whoever received that money, trying to sue, or actually now initiating a lawsuit against Kanye West. I mean, talk about biting the hand that feeds you, right? I mean, this is just...
Hey, bro, I just got a tip from one of our viewers that this is a video of your boy K. John Breyer and his wife out at dinner tonight. I just dropped a link.
All right, let's play it.
This comes off a hot source. Known, trusted, known him for a long time. So this is Mrs. Breyer. And here's your boy K. John.
Oh my God.
K. John really, he's got a mean right hook there.
Whew.
Damn. It's a rough one. But thank you to the viewer who sent that in. We appreciate your tips. So anytime you want to send us a video or give us some inside information, hit us up. It's notbetabrock@gmail.com.
So what do you think about Candace Owens, Agent X? You think she's going to sue George Floyd's family?
I don't care, but I think she's hot as fuck. That's all I care about.
I would agree with you.
Dude, of course you would agree with me, man.
Oh, she's
a
very
good-looking
cute.
woman. Man.
I like all of her public appearances. She's very articulate. She's very smart. But if I were Candace Owens, I probably wouldn't sue. I mean, I don't know exactly what was said, but I mean, getting any contact with these crazy people who will then, retaliate in some way or another, not good. It's not good for her reputation generally.
Wouldn't it be funny if all that money the family got from Susan Richard Nelson and the other corrupt judges in Minnesota, if they had to pay it in legal fees to defend against Candace Owens' suit?
That would be hilarious. Speaking of Kanye West, what do you think about these remarks that have been characterized in the media as anti-Semitic?
I don't know. I haven't been following it too close, dude. It's all distractions, man. There's too much going on the world stage. We got to watch China and Russia and what we're doing.
And the deep state, really. Out of those three, what do you think is the biggest threat to the people of this country? In my opinion, obviously, it would be the deep state.
Oh, the deep state, yeah, because they want us to go to war.
Oh, yeah.
They want us to go to war. It's good financially for them.
Hey, if you're tuning in, I know it's getting late, but subscribe, like the video, really appreciate it. Agent X, what else do you want to talk about maybe before we close this down? It is kind of getting late.
Dude, let's close it down, and I'm going to go get some rest, man. Get some sleep.
Hey, I wanted to test out my little vocals here, so can you tell me if these are working? By the way, anyone out there listening, let's, comment, tell me if these are working or not. Ready?
Yep.
Agent X, exposing the predator class.
Dude, sounds good, man.
Did you hear that out there? Let me know. Yeah, I mean, if you heard it, we're probably good, but just want to make sure my little clips are working. Kanye West will tell you who. Yeah, so, I mean, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I just want to make sure those clips are working.
Yep, no, man, I'm good. I
No
sure
clip.
will have more stuff to talk about tomorrow.
Piff, you didn't hear it? Yeah, we'll have more stuff to talk about tomorrow or this weekend. I think we have a little window.
I think TCS is a long-time listener because he just said good return. I guess he means good return show, man.
Hey, we do have a little window here, especially with Halloween coming up. By the way, what are you going to do for Halloween? You going to go out, have a little toga party?
I'm gonna dress up and try to hook up with sexy nurses all weekend.
Oh, yeah. Smashing?
Smashing, bro. I'm not smashing pumpkins. I'm smashing pussy. Boom.
I can tell you one thing. Gavin McAnus won't be with you.
He's gonna be smashing anus. Nah, he's gonna be smashing anus, man.
With Darrell Brooks, right? Or Nicholas Rekieta.
Yeah.
With
probably
both, right?
They're probably gonna take turns.
That's a good. Totally not illegal. Well, I think
Dude, that's pretty active tonight.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Dude, all right,
Dude,
man.
nurses love the badge, man. Agent X, where's your badge? Deep State double agent.
Dude, listen, man. There's only one thing you gotta mention to a woman to get her panties to drop. Just say, "Oh yeah, I'm studying quantum computing." Dude,
Be like, do you know the
you love it, man.
superposition state of this gate function? They do.
Dude,
They
I
do love
study-
strange
I study
technical language, don't
sparse,
they?
Wait, what?
Sparse tensors, multi-dimensional arrays, and row vectors.
Dude, when I'm time traveling, like Scott Bakula, man, I'm not coming back to help you.
Orthogonal, right angles, eigenvalues.
The eigenvalues. All right, dude, let's wrap it up.
All right, that was a good. That was a good way to end our stream. So, anyways, yeah, definitely we're going to be here this weekend. I know you're going to be dressing up. Oh, by the way, so you mentioned a costume, Agent X, before we finish
Dude,
the
I will be
stream.
dressing up.
So
Yeah,
on
I
Halloween,
will
do
be
you
making
plan?
an
Do you
appearance.
plan on showing up to our stream on a webcam in a costume?
Absolutely, I will.
And
I'll
what
go
kind
on
of
camera.
costume is this going to be?
Dude, you have to wait and see. It'll be a surprise.
Okay. Well, anything else to say before we close this down?
That's all, man. That's all I got.
Subscribe and like the video, and have a great weekend. Have a great Halloween. Hopefully we'll be here tomorrow. If not, we'll definitely be here on the weekend. Take care. Bye.
Kind of light with powers and properties unlike anything that existed before. Laser light.